this in a minute. But welcome everyone. Welcome to BRAINterns. This is I'm Randy D'Amico. I'm a neurosurgeon here at Lenox Hill. On the screen with me, you see Dr. David Langer. He's the chairman at Lenox Hill, part of the Northwell system. As you can see, I'm in the operating room, and this is actually the perfect chance to kick this off. This is what this is all about. We're trying to give you guys a virtual summer series where you get access to neurosurgery and exposure to medicine as a whole and a lot of different aspects of that. So without further ado, I want to introduce David Langer again as the chairman of the department. He's going to talk to you guys for a little bit, and then I'm going to go over a lot of semantics for the didactic portion of the course. And we'll end probably a little bit early, but we've got an exciting day ahead of us. So once again, welcome. DL, it's all you.
So I wanted to welcome everyone here. Starting today, we're hoping to have you all think a little differently about how we treat each other, how we learn, how we inspire, and how we get educated. I think this may be the first time that any of you have done something just for your passion or just something you got interested. I'd imagine many of you are here because of our show. But respect the fact that before the show came on, we already had 200 or so people signed up. And so for those who joined before the show, congratulations. And those who joined after the show, congratulations, because what we're hoping to do is have you see us from a different perspective. And I just want to thank some people and then start this off with just a thoughtful comment. First off, we have to thank these two folks. This is Randy, who you saw at the beginning on the left, and Flora Salman, who did a tremendous amount of work to help organize this. And Josh Katz, who's also on here, I just didn't have his picture. We have a whole group of people that's worked tirelessly to get this up and running in a very short period of time. And I think you're going to find today and the next 28 days to be potentially some of the most interesting time you've had. We're going to do 8 weeks of 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's a lot. And this is because we have a great team, and it goes to the team's credit. Well, not one person can do anything. And I think that's the first metaphor, that you got to work with people and you have to help each other to be successful. Most success we think of as your grades or, you getting a good paper written, but in general, helping other people get successful helps you. And, it's hard sometimes to see other people get that credit, but trust me, it works. So these people in particular have done a great job, and I just want to thank them formally. This is our whole department. You've only seen a few of us on the show, but this is a group of us. Some of us are here with our spouses. We're growing. We have a great time. We have a lot of fun, and I think that you'll see expressions of this throughout the course about the way we treat each other and the way we behave. When I started this process way back, and this is when I finished my residency, the reason why I want to show you this picture, which John and I did part of our residency together. That's John in the lower level, and I'm standing there. This is towards the end. I was, a young guy, just like many of you. I know, now you're seeing us through the prism of our show, but we're real. We're doctors, we're neurosurgeons. And we're not celebrities. You can do this. All of you can do this. This isn't like being a professional athlete. You have to be big or strong or really, tremendously, innately talented. A lot of this just comes from hard work, passion, and grit and determination. It comes from essentially learning to learn. And I think that's what our motto is. We want to inspire you, we want to educate you, and we want to unite. We want you to push this on social. Inspire, educate, unite. There's so much going on that's bad in this world right now. There's so many reasons to be distrustful and to be unhappy. But remember, inspiration can come from many places. Educate yourself along the way. Ask questions. You're not getting graded during these next 8 weeks. Enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. I don't wear a watch. And not wearing a watch to me is symbolic of this is a continuum that never really ends. Our education continues our whole life. I'm going to learn something, I'm sure, from watching this. So remember that. Inspire, educate, unite. And Randy's going to go over, we really want you to go out on social and promote this. Let's turn this into a movement, a student movement to bring back the essence of why we're alive and why we are on this earth, to help other people. You know, I'm going to end with this. I'm going to give a talk later in the week. I'm going to spend some time with you in what's called Chairman's Corner, and I'm putting together some inspirational talks, some things about medicine. But I pulled this slide. I put this on social a few times, but I think it's really a metaphor for why we're here. And I'm going to read this to you. It says, years ago, the anthropologist Margaret Mead was asked by a student, probably very much like you guys, what she considered to be the first sign of civilization in a culture. The student expected Mead, and Mead was a very well-known anthropologist. She studied fossils and the origins of human beings. And the student expected me to talk about fish hooks or clay pots or grinding stones, which are the usual types of artifacts that we find associated with civilizations, art on the walls. But no, Mead said, the first sign of civilization in ancient culture was a femur that had been broken and then healed. Mead explained, in the animal kingdom, if you break your leg, you die. You cannot run from danger, get to the river for a drink, or hunt food. You are meat for prowling beasts. No animal survives a broken leg long enough for the bone to heal. A broken femur that is healed is proof that someone has taken time to stay with the person who's fell, has bound up the wound, has carried the person to safety, and has tended the person through recovery. Helping someone through difficulty is where civilization starts, said Mead. We are at our best when we serve others. That's our mantra. We're at our best when we serve others. You can be wildly successful. You can still have things. You can still have material wealth. You can still, go on nice vacations. But ultimately, when we serve others and when we're happiest, and I think that's demonstrated by where Randy is right now, helping people in the operating room. That's all I have to say for today. I look forward to spending more time with all of you. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing. We're lucky enough to have the show and have a pandemic that keeps all of you home and out of your other internships. And so we just thought this was an opportunity that we couldn't miss. But promote this, talk to people, go make a difference, go inspire people in your own community, educate them about this. You don't have to go to every single course. You don't have to go to every single lecture. Enjoy it. Don't worry about it. We got a lot of questions. Do I have to do the whole thing? Do what you want. Select it. Just enjoy it. Allow you to educate and unite around this. And we're here to help you in any way we can. I'll turn it back over to Randy.
Thanks so much, Dr. Langer. That was fantastic. Yes, so welcome, everyone. Right now, we're waiting, I believe, on John Bookbar to join us. He's going to be signing in and coming in. He'll want to say a few words, probably. But in the meantime, I'm going to share my screen. And here we go. He's here. Hey, Dr. Bookbar.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. So Dr. Langer just gave his introduction. I don't know if you wanted to kick off another couple minutes and chat with everyone, say welcome.
David, I'm sorry I missed it.
The first time I've seen you with a tie in like 6 months.
Well, I think I know what David probably introduced, and I'm sure he showed some interesting pictures. So welcome to BRAINterns 2020. And I just want to thank Randy D'Amico and Rebecca, Josh, Noah, Flora, and of course, our illustrious leader, Dr. David D. Langer at Dr. D. Langer on Instagram. We're just so thrilled to be able to really provide an educational seminar while you guys are at home and take you away from Fortnite and really hopefully teach you something about all aspects of healthcare. And you're about to see what greatness is all about. And we're just so excited. Obviously, please participate if you can, ask questions, reach out to people who are in the class, and make this a productive summer seminar. We're not taking attendance, but we know where you are and if you're in the lecture. So the more you participate, the more you get recognized. The more you get recognized, the more opportunities present themselves. The more opportunities that present themselves, the more you get accomplished. The more you get accomplished, the happier you are. So that's how it rolls in life. And I'm just honored to be participating. So back to you, Randy D.
Thanks so much, Dr. Bookbar. All right, guys. I mean, basically what we're going to do now is go through some of the, the course scheduling and whatnot. And let me share my screen with you all briefly. This will be a little bit dry. This first session is not going to be too much other than telling you kind of what the obligations are going to be or lack thereof, truthfully. And hopefully get you all excited. Following this lecture today, we have a virtual spine lecture, which I think Dr. Langer is going to be giving. Dr. Baum may or may not join in. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
And then following that, sorry, we're going to be back in the operating room with Dr. Lazaro, who's a thoracic surgeon who's using a robot to do resection of a lung tumor, I believe. And so, as you can see, we're in the OR right now. This is probably going to end up being, few and far between when we actually get in the room. It involves consenting patients and whatnot. But we have a whole host of videos that are going to be shown throughout the course that are really going to help you guys get an idea of what we do in the actual operating room. So before I kick off, just because it's so unique to be in here, this is the team. This is obviously my assistant, Anu. She's going to be giving some lectures as well during the course. The operative microscope. These are the nurses and the scrub techs and the anesthesiologists. And so, this is really happening. We're doing this course while we're still, practicing and helping people. And that's a big thing. I think demonstrates kind of the commitment to making sure you guys have a great experience. So the dates were just up. July 1st, today's the kickoff. We're going till August 26th. It's just about 8 weeks. It's Monday through Friday, 3 hours a day, 9 to 12. Dr. Langer already went through this, but none of this is possible without the support of everyone involved. And so obviously the co-directors have done huge amounts of work on this. The administrative tasks involved in getting this approved by the school, getting the med school involved. Katie, Rebecca, Flora deserve huge amounts of credit. And then the panelists, you're going to hear from members of the neurosurgery department, pretty much everyone at this point. You're going to hear from members of different departments, different subspecialties, right? Everyone's contributing to this. Some of the most valuable lectures are going to be given by the medical school, kind of guidance on how to get into medical school and how to prepare your resumes and what kind of opportunities to look at. And then also we have a special seminar series on Tuesday morning where we've got really fantastic guests giving lectures that are a little outside of the box for medicine, but I think are going to be very valuable just to, kind of understanding what Dr. Langer was pointing out with inspiring and educating and uniting. The goal here, and I think, this is important for all you to understand, we wanted to create a virtual platform for students, high school and above, to get, who are interested in a wide range of medical, careers and healthcare careers, to give them broad exposure, to show them our system, which we think is innovative and top-notch without a doubt, and give them mentorship, right? You can interact with us. You can interact with every lecturer. We encourage it. There's going to be time at the end of every lecture where you can ask questions. So this is, I think, a fantastic opportunity. I wish it existed when I was sitting home during the summertime. We talked about the dates already. In the afternoon, so the Monday through Friday seminar series goes 9 to 12, but pretty much everyone in the department has an afternoon webinar that they give. On Tuesdays, it's something called Tumor Talk with myself and Dr. Bookvar, where we go over recent publications. We talk about, new studies in the field of neuro-oncology, so brain and spinal cord tumors. On Wednesdays, Dr. Langer and the cerebrovascular group have a conference where they invite special guests and they discuss kind of cutting edge treatments and, just things that are going on in the field of cerebrovascular neurosurgery. On Fridays, Dr. Bookvar has a seminar called By the Book, which is, a real cornucopia of topics, but covered by experts, including himself and some family members, I think. This is the basic outline of what the seminar series is going to be. So on Mondays, we have these neurosurgery subspecialty lectures. This is going to dive into neurosurgery. It's going to give you a little intro into what each subspecialty does. I don't know about you guys, but even when I went to medical school, I didn't know there was anything other than brain tumors. I was accepted into a lab that studied aneurysms, and I was like, I don't even know what an aneurysm is. I've never heard of it before. And so there's facets to neurosurgery that are extremely interesting and have, entire careers dedicated to them. And so we're going to introduce you to that. The second lecture series is neurology. This is an 8-week course, kind of an introduction to neurology. We've got the entire neurology department committed to this. It's a fantastic series. I've seen most of the talks at this point. It's going to be very educational. Super important, the med school is involved. So Zucker School of Medicine, they're doing a med school prep class on Mondays at 11. I would not miss this, especially if you're interested in a career in medicine from the MD side of things. Tuesdays, we have the special seminar series I've already talked about. We have this whole, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 10 a.m., we do these virtual ORs. And this is going to be actual case discussions, the practical nature of what we do. We're going to show you presentations and scans and videos. And we've got a whole host of operative videos that we can look through, teach you guys anatomy and why we do what we do. Cardiology gets involved after that, an entire 8-week series on understanding the heart and the cardiovascular system and how we treat those issues. On Wednesdays, we have our advanced care practitioners giving insight to those who are interested in medicine but don't necessarily want to go to medical school. You can be PAs, nurse practitioners. We've got an entire series dedicated to that. Again, the virtual spine. Our medical subspecialties, we've invited guests from other subspecialties to come in and give lectures. We've got cardiothoracic surgery. We've got, I believe, emergency medicine, really running the gamut of kind of what else we see here. And those lectures are going to give you an introduction into other fields, not just neurosurgery. On Thursdays, we've got hospital administration lectures. These are super important, right? The hospital has to run. And so maybe you like healthcare, but you don't want to practice medicine, and Northwell's a fantastic example in Lenox Hill of how to run a successful business in medicine. And so we're going to have a whole series of great lectures there that's going to be very informative. Thursday afternoons, I'm very excited about, or I guess right before noon, 11 o'clock. This is where we showcase what we can do in medicine. The physician scientist, how do we innovate? Who's leading the charge in clinical trials and biotech research? We've got incredible lectures talking about artificial intelligence and new treatments for, terminal diseases, as well as, entrepreneurs in medicine. You don't have to study a molecular pathway to treat diseases. There are other ways to contribute. And so I'm really excited about that series. On Friday, it wouldn't be medicine without some anatomy. And so we're doing some basic anatomy delivered by medical students, actually, who are studying this. It's fresh in their mind. It's going to be fantastic. And then Dr. Langer is going to take an hour a week and talk to you guys. And I think he plans on having some guests along with him and surprises. So he's a pretty surprising guy. I think you guys are going to like it. Again, this afternoon sessions, we've got the webinars that we do weekly. These are already on YouTube if you want to see what they look like. They're on the Lenox Hill YouTube page. But in general, these are going to be a little bit more advanced topics where we actually talk about what we do, and you can get an insight into how we interact with our colleagues and how we think about these diseases and kind of the cutting edge. Moving forward, the subspecialty lecture I already talked to you about. We're going through neurosurgery bit by bit, piece by piece. And then we've got our virtual OR curriculum. Again, YouTube videos. We have de-identified images and PowerPoints so that you guys can see the images. We're broadcasting obviously to a large audience. We have to keep patient safety in mind. Intraoperative photos and videos. We've got Dr. Baum across the hallway here, literally strapped a GoPro to his head. And he's going to be giving you, real video of what he does in the operating room, from washing his hands to, doing the surgery. And then discussions about why we do it and how people do with it. The special seminar series, these are some of the initial topics. There are a few of these that are going to change. We're adding more mainly, but we've got, looking at, we obviously just went through the pandemic. So we've got the COVID-19 experience from the setting of the emergency room. We've got an entire series dedicated to women in neurosurgery. We've got nursing stories from the middle of of COVID-19 also. It's an extremely powerful talk. I would not miss it. We've got a whole topic about playback health, which is one of these med tech innovations that I think is the future of how medicine and doctors are going to interact with each other and patients. We've got Michael Dowling, who's the CEO of Northwell Health. That is the largest private employer in New York State, massive healthcare system, innovative, a great place to work, I think. We've got a special lecture about resilience in medical training. She's actually going to broadcast live from Zurich when she's talking to us. It's a great lecture, powerful speaker as well. And then we've got lectures on diversity in medicine and making sure, medicine ends up being probably the most diverse economy in out of everything. And so we're going to focus on that and tell you how we're doing, what we're doing to do more. overall, I wanted to show this video. This is, what Lenox Hill is all about. So I'm going to play it. It runs a couple minutes. It's the department video. You guys can find it online as well. But I think it gives a good introduction to what we do. So I'm going to let this run for a minute, and I'm going to make sure my patient's okay.
We can't hear it, Randy.
Can't hear their volume, Rand.
No volume?
No volume.
Hold on. Let me see if I can.
If not,
I can share the video if you want me to.
Can you share the video? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
You have to stop sharing.
This is an example of an endoscopic hard C4 for the inner body.
Randy?
Sorry, was I muted?
Yeah, you have to stop sharing so I can share.
Wait, I was just going to show these last two slides so you can.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Give me a second. So, as Dr. Langer mentioned, we're promoting a movement here. We're trying to, and so these are going to be some of our social media tags. Obviously, hashtag BRAINterns, and then anything you post, please feel free to at the Lenox Hill Neurosurgery handle, and that way we can share it with people too and help kind of build this. The last thing, actually, Flora just sent me. This is individually all of us on Instagram. And so if you're interested, take this down and obviously say what's up and hi. But I have to say, we're extremely excited to be doing this. It's an extremely unique opportunity. I couldn't be happier or prouder of everyone who's been involved to make this a reality. And I think you're going to have a great experience. So with that, I'm going to let Flora run the video, and we'll open it up to a few questions while I operate.
Flora, you want to run the video?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Just let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
It began as an idea, a deep sense of doing right.
Lenox Hill Neurosurgery is a really special group.
We're a group of world experts that all came together. I don't think you could find a more committed team.
Patients come to us looking for hope.
Lenox Hill Neurosurgery really started in 2014.
It's kind of amazing, our growth, in that it started out with just the 4 of us.
We established an ethic and a workflow and a group of people that work together that was extraordinary, and it continues on to grow to this day.
We strive to provide all of the benefits of a large academic medical center in a very intimate environment.
We have an opportunity at Lenox Hill Neurosurgery to expose patients and their family members to the best performing, the latest and greatest in terms of procedures, and be able to help as many people as we can.
We stand by this culture of really putting the patient first and using everything in our armamentarium to make sure that patient has a good outcome.
Not all patients fit into one box. That's why we have a team-based approach to every patient.
One of the things that really differentiates us is our size. We're a small group that operates very similar to a private practice, yet we have all of the strengths and advantages of being part of Northwell Health. It allows us to be very innovative, very creative, and to operate with a level of teamwork that many other large academic practices are not able to do.
No matter how talented you are, you could be the best in the world, but without a milieu of people and a team, you can only get so far.
We have meetings every week that focus on each discipline, whether it's stroke, aneurysms, spine, tumor.
You can cross-collaborate and discuss these patients together in a multidisciplinary fashion.
And that creates a really, unique experience where you get a lot of different inputs into the same kind of situation.
It's a team approach, and everybody's important.
So from the minute you pick up the phone and you say, I need an appointment, to the doctor taking the stitches out and saying you're cured, you're getting that comprehensive care all the way through.
We also continue to strive for more. We are affiliated with Feinstein Institute for Medical Research.
We believe in order to further develop treatments, research is imperative.
We have more clinical trials in this department than pretty much any department of neurosurgery that I'm aware of.
We're able to operate similar to a Silicon Valley startup where technology is a big part of our practice.
The group of people here utilize technology in a fantastic way. They're all innovators.
Dr. Langer has used the exoscope. He was the first in Manhattan to use it, where they use 3D glasses to do surgery.
We have had an opportunity to start using a new app called Playback Health, developed in our department.
Patients can play back a visit. We want to ensure that we are communicating with families, even if they're not present at the visit.
A patient that comes to Lenox Hill Neurosurgery is in the best hands that they can be.
We can see a patient in the office that comes in with maybe multiple neurosurgical problems, and right then and there, that same day, get them to see a spine surgeon, get them to see a tumor specialist.
Whenever they come with a problem in the brain, people are very scared. It's very emotional for the person that is suffering from the problem, as well as the family members.
It really requires a very special personal touch. So for me, I offer my cell phone and my email address to all my patients. I actually correspond with quite a few of my postoperative patients.
Great surgery is only the starting point.
We always tell the family we're around 24/7 if you come up with any questions.
Once you've had surgery with us here at Lenox Hill Neurosurgery, you're our patient for life. We're not going anywhere. We're here to take care of you no matter what happens.
Neurosurgery to me isn't work, it's my life.
The thing that I like most about what I do is seeing the impact I have on patients.
It brings tears to my eyes. Seeing patients calling, Carrie Ann, this is the best I've been in years. I just want to call to say thank you.
This is a labor of intense love and focus. I don't think anybody's better at doing what we do than us.
Yay.
That video always brings a tear to my eye.
Carrie Ann just
Anyway.
so good in those videos.
It's unreal. I think that gives you a good idea of what we're about. I think it's a good message. It's a strong group. I think you guys are going to get exposed to a lot here. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to experience a lot, and you're going to get access to interact with us. And I think that we're very, we're a group that cares, and we're going to respond to you guys and mentor you in any way possible. And so, again, I thank you all for being a part of this and for tuning in. I do see a few questions. There are some questions about certificates. So we are planning a certificate process, and that's going to be really based on attendance. Now, attendance is not mandatory. There have been a number of people who have conflicts. We're not trying, this isn't prison. It's not school prison. We want you to come if you're excited to come. We want you to learn when you're excited to learn. We will give a certificate based on attendance, though, and so it'll be probably a tiered system where if you achieve 40% of lectures, we do have a way to keep attendance. You'll get one certificate, 60% a second certificate, 80% a third certificate. So it's really like Delta Sky Miles, right? You've got gold, you've got diamond, which is where Bookbar and Langer are, and then you got whatever I fly with the animals in the cargo bay down there. So try to come to as many lectures as humanly possible. Ask questions, don't be afraid. It's obviously a little bit overwhelming in the chat. We'll try to get to everyone. We've got some moderators watching this, and that'll be good. Someone had asked about what we're wearing for PPE in the OR, and everyone's wearing an N95 in here underneath their mask, except for me, but I'm gonna go put mine on right now. And then, the patient has a plastic drape over their face and their ET tube. So safety is obviously extremely important in the operating room. What else questions do we have? There is some questions about the intern and the summer seminar series. So we had a virtual internship that had a limited number of spaces. This was about 20 spots. That filled in early. So those students are in this group as well. But this group is really just strictly the seminars. Now, I will tell you this. If you're interested in neurosurgery, if you like what we're doing here, get in touch, all right? Go through the lectures, get in touch. There are always opportunities arising. It's a very fluid field. And so there's always room for more. And so the worst case scenario is we say we're full, but, be persistent and talk to us and try to get involved. And if not with us, your local neurosurgeons. There's tons of research happening out there. There's tons of experiences like this. And so I would say that, we can help you get in touch with the right people as well. Am I missing anything, Dr. Langer, Dr. Bookbar?
I was going to point out the clocks behind you that are completely wrong. I think that's sort of a metaphor. I like to look at life and look at the symbolically how people are successful. I think you guys are all at the age now where you have to find mentors, and whether it's us or someone else, find someone that you want to be like, and then see what their patterns of behavior are, see what the things they do. And I think the essence of success, in my mind, are people that don't look to leave. Like, don't worry about when it's all going to be over, when it's going to be lunchtime, when the coffee break is. And that's whether you go into medicine, whether you become a surgeon or anything else, that's something, no matter what you do, we'd like you to take away from this, that you have to believe in something, you get energized, and then you make it happen. And like I said, we're not celebrities, we're just doctors, and we're real. And we were in your place not too long ago. And so, and Randy's, a few years behind us, and we see him as the next generation. He's really done such a great job in, getting energy into this program at a very short period of time. So you're all going to benefit from his hard work. And he's just doing it because he loves to do it, not because he's getting paid to do it or anything like that. And that's the sign of greatness. So thank you again, Randy.
Thanks so much. There's a lot of people questioning my PPE right now. If you are not operating, which I'm not, I'm using a computer, you do not have to wear gloves in the operating room. And my computer is allowed in here. So don't worry, we're not doing anything dangerous. The people operating are all fully gowned up and sterile. All right, I think for this first session, we're going to take a break. The next session starts at 10. I would sign in, 5 minutes prior to that. It's going to be the introduction to the spine virtual OR, and I believe Dr. Langer is going to be kicking that off. And so stay tuned, get some breakfast, go to the bathroom, come right back.
I think there are a bunch of new messages, it says.
Let's see. A lot of people asking about how to get in touch with people. We can help guide you in the right direction. We're happy to. But I think that in general, you want to go to the websites of, the hospitals around you or the neurosurgeons around you. And you can try even by calling, that's first and foremost. It's called a cold call. You just ask if it's possible to get in touch with someone you're interested in shadowing or research. Oh. And then emails are difficult to find. But
there's a question here about, yes, there will be a PA session. One of our chief PAs will be running it. So we have an advanced care practitioner PA sessions. How many of those do we have, Randy?
8.
Yeah, so a lot of people now are considering being a physician assistant, which we really support. It's obviously not as long of a road. You get some of the gratification without some of the grit, but there's a limit to your involvement. Very often the PAs now are moving, as they get older, go into administrative jobs. So yes, we're going to have a pretty aggressive exposure to that. If those of you who want to see that, you can. If you choose not to because you're dead set on medical school or something else, then it's the way this is. You're not going to be penalized. Don't worry about it. If those are questions, there are going to be any talks on work-life balance as a neurosurgeon. I think that there probably will. I mean, this is going to come up from time to time. I think the entire series is going to show you the variety of things that we do and balance. And I think we reflect back on our work and our life sort of simultaneously. And I know that Jason said in that video he doesn't consider this work. I don't consider this work either. I have balance because I enjoy my work and I enjoy my life, because that's when you spend most of your time in your life at work. So there's really no such thing as balance if you're unhappy at work. So the first thing you have to do is choose a job you really like to do. And then you have to start worrying about absolutely things about spending time with your children, your spouse, whatever it is. Those they can be challenging, especially when you're training and when you're young. So I'm lucky enough that I have great partners now. I'm starting to look at the third trimester of my career now, And you can be creative. When you have great people around you, it gives you more options as you get older. And so I think that we will touch on this throughout the course about this balance thing that we're all seeking it, and the only way to do it is to have that gratification internally that you're doing something valuable. I think that's where it starts. You can't be happy at home or happy with your spouse. You're not happy at work, and vice versa. So they really work together. Anything else that you're seeing coming up, Randy?
A lot of people are asking if the 10 o'clock time slot is the same link as this one. Is it, Josh?
It is. Everything.
I'm gonna just keep this meeting running when everyone leaves, and you're just gonna be sitting on this intro screen until the doctors join and you're ready to start again.
Yeah, someone's asking to share the weekly schedule again, but that's actually, if you go to the Facebook group, there's a link to an iCalendar, which will actually auto-populate that, so you can look through it independently.
Yes.
I can put it up again for a second, but
just to remind everyone, please join the Facebook group Lenox Hill Hospital BrainTerns Summer 2020. That's where your daily communication regarding this program is going to be found. Almost everyone has joined, but just for the last few people that haven't, please do.
Yeah.
Also, I just saw you flash the Insta handles.
I'm going to bring that back. Yeah. So again, this is the weekly seminars. As you can see them, maybe take a screen grab real quick, and then I'm going to go back over to the Insta handles.
And I just learned how to use Insta like last. I had no idea what I was doing.
We were debating. We're going to announce a contest probably later this week or maybe for early August for Instagram photos and the brain turn experience, but more info on that to come. Like I said, there's going to be some surprises throughout this whole thing too. And so I think, it's going to be fantastic.
It's also LHH _neurosurgery. There's a typo, but definitely follow us.
Here, can I fix it?
Yeah, fix it.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Why don't we take a 20-minute breather, and I'm going to go do what I got to do, and Dr. Langer is going to be back in 20 minutes. So unless you guys have anything else.
But I'll continue to answer questions because I'm just going to go right into this. So
okay, I'm gonna jump off then. Welcome everyone again. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Go do your surgery.
Yeah, thanks.
So we'll let Randy go. I'm looking at the chat now. I think I got disconnected somehow. There we go. Yes, you can bring devices into the OR. The sterile field is really just when you're in the actual case. You can bring your cell phone in. You can bring we bring music into the operating room very often. So as long as it's far enough away and it's not touching any of the sterile field, where there are devices. It's obviously kept to a dull roar. The nursing in particular is very concerned about anything that could increase the risk of infection. But most of us bring our mobile devices and maybe some music in with us. Opportunities. Well, with in the pandemic, I think the opportunities are different than they used to be for sure. I think you have to be really creative and find them yourself. As far as working with us, we have lots of projects, mostly related to surgical video, some of John's clinical trials, and also IT. And we have a number of projects in the information technology space. So, you can email us. It's obviously with this many people, it's going to be not a challenge to get everybody involved. But even after this is over, in the fall, as you pick up school again, reach back out to us. I mean, the people will probably be most interested in getting involved with, honestly, or when this is over, because we'll have some time. And that's people who are the most ambitious and hardworking will find ways to get a hold of us, say in September, when things begin, because this is a commitment. You have to make a good commitment. The best way to get in contact with us, you can Insta us, you can email us. All of our emails are online. I would ask, someone mentioned about calling. We take care of patients too. If our phone lines are overwhelmed by you guys, it's really not going to be a good thing for our patient care. So we would much prefer that you contact us through our social, and then we can attack it individually. if there are things to reach out. But let the course happen, because this is what we're going to do for now. And then once the course is over in the fall, we can see how this filters through your brain, see if there's something you're really interested, and then reach out, in the fall when you're back in school, because right now this is your time to enjoy this, and this is a credit to you that you're even here. So don't worry about, doing more than what we're doing right now. I don't think I really don't have the bandwidth right now to do that anyway. Don't worry about perfect attendance, please. If somebody is in perfect attendance, then that's a demerit. You take some time there. You can't be interested in absolutely everything we're showing you. That's impossible. Take at least an hour off and go exercise or something. People interested in neuroscience, career options. There are lots of career options from neuroscience outside of being a doctor or surgeon. There's psychology, obviously, psychiatry. There's just research in neuroscience, unrelated to medical school. You can get a PhD or a master's degree. There's a ton of really interesting basic research on neurological diseases, on imaging. And there's the whole stroke field is blowing up. So you don't necessarily have to go to medical school if you're a neuroscience major. And what you need to do is find, like I said, someone in your school or in your university that does something that you like to do. That's really the most important thing. And if it's not a doctor, then you have to go into the research department, find, just inquire as to their lab jobs or the research positions. I think that's the best advice there. As far as coming from London, of course, right now it's hard to travel. If you want to come from London to work with us, we've had international students every summer. We had a guy from Ireland last 2 summers ago, Rory. Maybe he's even on, I don't know. But yes, you can certainly reach out to us and maybe plan for next summer. We'd love to have you. Given the popularity of this, it's likely this is going to be a little more competitive than it was in the past. We usually take about 20 or 30 students, but obviously we'll do everything we can to take as many people as possible. Here's someone who's about to start high school, exposed to the medical field, stepdad's in the hospital a decent amount of time, wondering what advice you have for someone like me who's young and interested in medicine, though none of my family has a career in it. Well, it's true that, John and my dads were both doctors, and that definitely attracted me. But then it was up to me to figure out, how to interact. There's no question my dad, got me hooked up with people. And that's really it. It's just you have to find that person. So whether it's in high school or when you get to college, just, go to the hospital, sign up as a volunteer, go to the ER, work as a volunteer. If you meet doctors, you can ask them for help, and eventually you'll find one. Not everybody is going to be as open as we are, but we'll do everything we can. Obviously, email us, and we can hopefully help you as well. Yes, the session at 10 is on this link. I'm going to start the spine in about 17 minutes. Virtual intern for Lenox Hill in the fall. Don't know if we're going to continue this current way. We have to see. We usually do the summer series. We usually have interns in the summer. It's literally tough when you get back to school to make the kind of this daily commitment to us, and it's a lot of work for us too. So reach out again and see, there may be projects or things you might be able to work on for us in the fall. You don't have to sign off first. Just stay right with us. There's somebody here from San Diego. That's pretty early, getting up from San Diego. We're excited for the webinars also. All of our contact information is online. Hospitals do offer internships, but not physical right now. You have to wait till the pandemic runs its course. Email, I can send it to you, but I will put it right here. I can't promise you I'll answer everybody just because this probably will be popular, but I'll do the best I can. We're going to work from the bottom question. How many years of residency does it take to become a neurosurgeon? Most neurosurgery residents are 7 years after medical school. Medical school is around 4 years. It can be anywhere up to 7 if you get a PhD. I did medical school in 5. Residency is usually 7 years. Very often, many of us have done fellowships. I've done 2 fellowships. So I did an additional couple of years, but I don't think you have to think of, I keep harping on this, that I personally don't think of it as time. The residency is fun. So you're learning new things. It's all one continuum. It's no beginning and end. So we don't want to think of this as the beginning and end. You take as much time as you need to get the education and the training that you want. And I actually went back and did a fellowship 10 years after finishing my residency because I needed to get more exposure. So, you know, don't hesitate to get more training. And so, yes, I'm still training, and that's the truth. I was not always interested in neurosurgery. I thought I wanted to be a cardiologist like my dad. My dad unfortunately got sick, and I got exposed. He had a stroke, and I got exposed to neuroscience, and that really led me into neurosurgery. So I decided to do this when I was actually in medical school. So, you know, have an open mind though. Anybody who's decided they want to be a neurosurgeon now, why don't you wait until you get to medical school? Get to medical school first. The biggest problem is getting to medical school. That's the hardest part. But the hardest emotional part is deciding what kind of doctor to be. Getting to medical school takes a lot of work. It's competitive. But the next question is what kind of doctor you want to be, and that's a different question. So give yourself the opportunity to enjoy the experience and witness. And part of this summer is going to be exposing you to different aspects of healthcare and different subspecialties. The difference between neurology and neurosurgery in terms of work study time, well, the neurology residency is just shorter and there's no operating room. So, you know, you learn about neurological diseases, which include stroke with multiple sclerosis. There are inflammatory diseases of the brain. There are, peripheral neuropathies, different intrinsic brain diseases, infections, but they're not operating. And so they're really more diagnosticians, and they treat with different medicines. So neurology is shorter of a residency. It usually includes a 1-year medical internship, and most, I think, neurology residencies are 2 or 3 years. Very often there are fellowship years associated with them. Someone's asked me, I'm applying to medical school next June, but don't have any significant research due to my busy schedule being a student athlete. I had to cancel because of COVID. I was an athlete too in college. I was a rower in college. I get it. You know, it's the truth is, if you have a passion, go with it. I don't think medical schools are absolutely looking for, you're not going to win the Nobel Prize with the research you're doing in college. But if you show initiative, if you're a varsity athlete, that's showing initiative. I think that it doesn't mean you can't maybe find the time, especially now, to do something like this, or find a lab, or even a minimal amount of exposure as an undergraduate, but it doesn't hurt. But I don't think it's going to make or break you getting into medical school personally. I think the most important thing is you do well in your MCATs, that your grades are good, and that you have some other passion in your life that you show that you have focus, intensity on. As far as, there are a lot of medical schools now that don't even require a pre-med curriculum. So, but it's the more you do, sometimes the better you do, for sure. And you have to be do the best you can. Best way to prepare for the MCAT? That's a great question. I think that the MCAT is unfortunately a thresholds test. It's super important so that the medical schools can compare students from different schools and different colleges. An A in one college isn't necessarily an A in another. And so the MCAT becomes the equalizer. It's unfortunate because I think some people just don't standardize tests well that would make very good doctors. But unfortunately, on average, there's a threshold basic score that you're going to need. And you can go, each medical school has their own threshold. In general, you want to be in about the 70th percentile, 75th percentile on the test to have good success getting into medical school. That doesn't mean you're not going to get in if you're lower, but when you start to hit the 50th percentile or so, it's much more of a struggle. And then it may depend on what other things you have in your life and blah, blah, blah. So like everything else, it is competitive. I heard about the MCAT getting canceled. I can't answer that. There's so many questions coming fast and furious. Would you say seminars help for becoming a PA? Yeah, I mean, like I said, PA school involves this stuff, and we're going to have some designated curriculum for PAs. But this is going to be inhalable by no matter what your level is. So yes, I think it will be. Best pathway for international student? Yeah, I mean, that's tough. You have to do the USMLE. Not easy to get in the United States if you're a foreign doctor. Some subspecialties in medicine in the United States don't actually recognize a foreign residency training, so you have to check, and that's important.
I have a lot of questions, so just make sure if they don't get answered, write these down and keep them somewhere, because there's only 10 more minutes until the next session, and we want to make sure that we attend to all the questions. So write them down, and next time we'll be able to get to them.
Talk about these questions, Flora?
Yeah. Yeah, we can save the chat, but also just remind yourselves so next time you can ask them if they weren't answered.
Yeah, I mean, they're just endless. So I'm just trying to.
No, they're just coming in hot.
Yeah. I don't think you're ever too old to be going to medical school or becoming a neurosurgeon. Like, remember, time's a continuum. I mean, the biggest problem of being a neurosurgeon, unfortunately, is if you've had a 10 or 15-year career doing something else before medical school, and you finish medical school when you're 35, it's a lot of energy to do neurosurgery residency. And that's not that you can't do it if you're in your 40s, but it's a lot. And I think medical residency training programs they don't like to bring in people that are more than 5 or 10 years before they went to medical school, just because you won't finish until your mid 40s. And it's tough to begin your practice at that age for the first time. Sometimes be financially impactful too. So I do think you have to be a little careful, but it's never too late if you don't make it too late, and we're all young at heart. How do I manage stress daily? Some days better than others. It's not always easy. There are times when I don't think I'm very good at it, where I do reflect back the stress I'm feeling, admittedly. I think exercise is critical. John is a big proponent of meditation, which I've tried, just breathing. But stress is important for success, though. If we didn't have stress, we wouldn't push ourselves and be ambitious. It also can be used positively. So you have to respect the fact that it's not so much you want to avoid stress, but how you use it to your benefit, and then how you overcome it for sure. Those are the typical ways that many people do. Sort of breathing, exercise, and meditation would be the conventional ways. But if you're an anxious person to begin with, you probably need a little bit more work, and that takes really active practice to do that. Flora, where are the recordings of the Zoom meetings? Are they going to be available somewhere?
Josh is recording them. I think
Okay.
Hopefully we'll be able to make a private YouTube channel, and we'll be able to send them to you guys or post it in the Facebook chat.
How hard is to get a neurosurgery residency from a low-tier med school? I don't think it's that much more difficult from a low versus high tier. The reason why the lower tier medical schools sometimes have a harder time is there may not be as many kids that have historically applied from those schools, or you just don't have mentors in your school that make you need good clinical rotations. You need to do a neurosurgical rotation, but I don't sense that there's no matter what all the medical schools that are out there are credentialed, the vast majority of the American medicals are very good. If you're a foreign graduate or go to a foreign MD program like in the Caribbean or Israel, it's much harder to match in neurosurgery residency because it's just a threshold. They just want American medical school graduates, and unless you're won the Nobel Prize or something, it's very hard to match as a foreign medical graduate. So that's for sure. Is it possible to do 2 residencies at one time? No. Will summer internships canceled due to COVID hurt my chance to get a medical school? No, because everybody was canceled. And that's why you're here. So use this. Book recommendations, Gifted Hands. I've seen The End of You, Do No Harm. Yeah, I mean, I liked, reading about this stuff is great. We've thought about writing ourselves. I think that there are many. There's a book called Operating in a Very Small Place. There's also a book called Bomb in the Brain. Bomb in the Brain was actually written about the NYU residency, and it actually affected my decision to go to medical to become a neurosurgeon. So those are 2 kind of interesting books. But there are plenty of great books out there about neurosurgical residency, and those are the 2 that come to mind. Common procedure to take place in the OR. Basically, we do vascular, we do brain tumors. Vascular is arteriovenous malformations, aneurysms, carotid endarterectomy. We do a lot of spine. That's that. Do we work closely with Dr. Najjar? Yes. Dr. Najjar is the chairman of neurology, and neurology and neurosurgery run parallel. There is some overlap, particularly in stroke and movement disorder. But in fact, Suhel and I are managing a very interesting patient right now together. And so we need strong neurology, and neurology needs strong neurosurgery. Osteopathic students, it's tough. I mean, if you want to be a neurosurgeon osteopath, it's really hard. There used to be osteopathic residencies. They're now converting them to MD residencies. I think that the DO, there are DO neurosurgeons, but it's very competitive, and it's getting more and more competitive. So I would be super, if you want to be a neurosurgeon, I think going to DO school can be a problem. And I know that from some of the students that have worked with us. So I mentioned Dr. Najjar's book, Brain on Fire. That's about Suhail and one of the patients he took care of at NYU. Great book. There was actually a TV show about that as well. I went to, it says what university? I went to UPenn. I was at UPenn for my undergrad and medical school and residency. I was there for 17 years. That's where I met John. John was a Penn undergrad as well. And then John did, and I both did residency. I was 6 years ahead of him in my Penn residency. So I'm actually much older than John, but I was 6 years ahead of him. I see somebody's, I'm at UPenn now. Go Quakers. We're big Quaker fans. Hopefully we'll come back and do something down there in the fall. I'd love to. I've been back to the school. I miss Penn terribly, and it's a great place. As per ANS, nurses can practice neurology, but it's a common practice. No, I don't know any neurosurgeons practicing neurology at all. So I wouldn't even consider that. And there's some overlapping fields. Interventional neuroradiology can be attacked from neurosurgery now, or neurology. It's catheter-based intervention. In fact, the neurology trajectory is a shorter pathway. And for those who can't match a neurosurgery or have trouble, I recommend going to neurology and pursuing interventional neuroradiology, because there's so much going on in stroke and the device business, and it's as close to neurosurgery as you get without opening a head. And most of these doctors, interventional neuroradiologists, are associated with the neurosurgery department or a neurology and a neurosurgery department. So I do think so. Are most neurosurgeons MDs? I'd say the vast majority, it's got to be over 90% are MDs, not DOs. In pro bono work, hope something just flipped off. What do you recommend international students to prepare to get residency in the US? Very tough. You have to be not only top of your class, but have a ton of papers, probably come to the US and do a non-residency fellowship, get to know people. That's the best way. Future of neurological surgery look like? I think that it's going to change. One of the great things about our field that's happening now is that, someone asked me about seeing the Netflix show. They said, you guys seem kind of empathetic and normal. We are, but, our field historically had been very kind of aggressive, militaristic. A lot of surgeons we use like that. But it grew out of the fact that, 30 years ago or even longer, 40, 50 years ago, the people, my mentors trained, they trained in it without the imaging we have, without the techniques we have. And because of that, they were doing things where people were dying all the time, and they were really mutilating people and hurting them. And you had to have a certain emotion. Talk about stress. I can't imagine doing some of the surgeries we do without the tools we have. And so they took a lot of risk. They were like the pioneers. And it took a different mentality to live with yourself, I think. That when you had bleeding you couldn't control, and people woke up and died all the time, which really doesn't happen that often anymore. We still hurt people, but we don't often die on the table like they might have in the past. And so the trouble is that the emotional quotient of the people who trained us was very different than our current generation, because we've developed all sorts of minimally invasive tools. Our imaging has gotten better. Our tools have gotten better. People do so much better. We're doing so much less big surgery than we used to. And the outgrowth of that is you're getting people going into neurosurgery that might not have done this in the previous generation. More women are in neurosurgery than used to. You can have a life. It's not just all terrible all the time. And so I think that that's the benefit of all of us, that we have a diverse group of people going into this, and not just, people who are just totally locked solid on getting over the pain and suffering we used to deal with.